Hello, welcome back to my channel. First off, before I get started with the video, I just wanted to say that I'm sorry for being inconsistent and absent. If you've been following me on any of my social media channels, or actually mostly just Instagram because that's literally what I'm using right now, but I fell down while I was house sitting a dog and really hurt my back and kind of torqued my spine, so I haven't really been very active on the internets or active at all, really. So that's why I've been doing the videos, and also I'm gonna try changing up my upload schedule. So before I was doing it on Fridays, and I'm going to try to change this to every Tuesday now. And this is because a lot of people I know have Fridays off, and everybody seems like they want to do something on Friday and the weekend. So I'm gonna upload on Tuesdays now because that's when I have the space to myself, and yeah, that's that. So with that being said, let's get into the topic for today's video. Today I'm gonna talk about editing. I am currently in the process of beginning to edit my first draft, and I noticed I was putting it off a lot. I was trying to figure out why this is, because I'm kind of one of those people that doesn't really believe in like writer's block, or like I think if you're feeling writer's block, it's because you're either afraid of something or you're just feeling lazy, something like that. It's not a priority to you. So I was thinking that's what this is like with the editing. There's something there that's blocking me, and I just need to figure out what it is so I can get started on my work again. And I found out what it was. What it was is that I do not know how to edit a manuscript. I've never edited one of my rough drafts before. I've only like written a rough draft and maybe read through it and like wrote down some notes, but I haven't edited a whole big thing. So the task of actually editing it was very daunting for me. So I was thinking, how do I get over this? I'd do research and figure out how to edit a novel. I watched a crap ton of YouTube videos, I read books, and I compiled a list of action steps that I'm going to do to edit my book that if you are editing your book and don't know where to start, maybe you can use too. Got them down in my handy dandy notebook that my lovely friend sent to me with notes about what needs to be revised. So, without further ado, here is my editing plan. It's broken up into 10 steps. Step number 1 is to completely read through your manuscript in, like, you know, as much of one go as you can. I know some of them are kind of big, so it might be a little difficult. This is really just to kind of get reacquainted with your work. When you read it all as one whole thing, you're more easily able to spot the plot holes and just kind of get an idea of what direction your story really needs to go in. While you are reading the manuscript in this chunk form, it's okay to write down some notes about what you want to change, but don't actually go in and physically change stuff while you're doing this. This is just to get reacquainted with your work. Krista Martin has a video about editing that I'll link down in the description, and she uses some keywords, like code words kind of, that can help you remember what parts you need to go back to and what you need to change. I'll link those down if you're interested in using those sorts of keywords when you do your read through of your manuscript. Step number 2, make a list or an outline, whichever one you find easier, of the scenes that you need to either add or change in your manuscript. So these will include things that need to be redone for faulty plot points, or things that need to be added for stuff to make sense. Basically just what needs to change in your story to make it a whole story. Again, step 2, you are not rewriting any of this yet. You're just making a list so that you kind of have a master compilation of all the things you need to change. Also, this way, if you're weird, nitpicky, and love lists like I do, you can check them off at the end and you will feel just immense satisfaction. So that'll help keep you motivated to keep editing the scenes. Step 3 is where you actually get to fix the scenes. So on your list, since you have kind of this master idea of what needs to be done, you really should be able to just pick and choose which scenes you want to work on first, and then when you're done working on them, check it off. If you want to go down chronologically because that's the way your brain works, like mine, you can do that. It's just really whatever helps keep you editing and motivated to edit the best. If you want to do your least favorite first, that's fine. You do you. Step 4 is to read through your novel again once you've completed all of these scene edits. And this is so you can find out if your novel has flow. Because you were kind of working on your scenes in like a listed format before and plugging them into your novel, you might not read that smoothly because it's kind of cut and pasted at this point. So in this read through, you're going to be making notes about scenes that either need to be cut or transitions that need to be written in order for the story to flow, those sorts of things. So you've written your scenes and now you're reading through it again and just making it sound like a cohesive story. Ideally in this stage, you'll be mostly cutting out scenes because you've already added everything that needs to be added. So this is where you need to kill the darlings. Kill all the darlings that need to be killed. And if you don't know that reference, you should find Stephen King and watch or read his memoir stuff because he has some great writing advice. Step 5 is what I'm calling the macro grammar step. I got the idea from Jenna Moressi's editing video, which I will also link in the description. But basically you're gonna highlight the big grammar issues that need to be fixed and change them. These grammar issues can kind of be divided into 3 different categories, and for each category you can use a different color highlighter or color pen, however you want to mark these. So the first category is sentences and paragraphs that might sound awkward or just like need to be reworded. This is different than the flow part in the previous step because you're looking at more on a not so much of a scene level but like an individual paragraph and sentence level to just make sure the sentences sound good. It doesn't have to do with overall story plot. That should already be intact. The second category is stuff that can be condensed or stuff that needs more detail. What you're going to be doing more of really depends on if you're an underwriter or an overwriter. I tend to be an underwriter and not so great with the description, so I know there's a lot more description I'm going to be needing to add, but if you tend to write a lot of description, you'll probably have to do a lot more description cutting in this scene. And again, cutting on the grammatical level, not like the scene level. And the third category is overused words or phrases. And I'm pretty sure you probably know what this is. I know when I'm writing, I tend to have my characters arch their eyebrows entirely too much. And just like these little tics and emotions that people feel way too often that I need to find a different word for. I plan on getting the emotional thesaurus because that looks like it's an amazing book and I've seen it recommended by several writers. I'll put a link to it down in the description if you're interested in checking it out, but I'm going to be investing in that book to help me with this because it's a little difficult for me to, not write repetitively during the first draft because you're just trying to write so fast that the same words that are always there for you use. Step 6 is what I have called micro grammar. And this is where you're looking to fix mistakes at the sentence level. So you're going to be cutting adverbs, useless adjectives, eliminating filler words, and improving your word choice throughout the novel. Just really focusing on the nitty-gritty of the things, the individual words that need to be changed in order to make your manuscript sparkle. Step 7 is getting beta reviews and applying their feedback. So during the beta review process, people are going to be telling you stuff that needs to change about your characters or your plot, and you need to compile all the information and apply the changes to your manuscript because this is going to be what your readers want to see from you. And it's where it really becomes not just your work, but something that people want to consume and read. Step 8 is what I call craftsmanship revision, and these are things that I read about in the Write Your Novel in a Month. I mentioned this book several times before. It's got so much good advice on writing and the whole novel creation process, and it had some really good points on editing that I wasn't really able to find online that I really liked. So this is really about just taking your writing to the next level and really making it sound professional. This is looking for things like making sure the point of views in your story are not ambiguous, that you really have those down pat. Your character and narrator voice, like when you have narration, is it in the voice of the character or is it in the voice of you? Making sure that's consistent. Revisiting the show versus tell, making sure you're using show way more than you are tell. The first line of your book, making sure that's down pat and engaging and makes the readers want to keep on reading everything in your book. Dialogue beats, making sure that flows and that people are having natural conversations. The descriptions, making sure they provide, like, you know, a good picture in the reader's head without giving them too much detail. Moods that come across in your writing. So if you want a scene to feel sad, but instead people are getting more, like, I don't know, tense vibes from it or something, make sure that you're fixing that and you're actually conveying the mood that you want to convey in your writing. Paragraph length, making sure these guys aren't too long, because I do not know a single person that likes to read, you know, 3 pages of paragraph. James Joyce. Making sure that you don't have the hop over and recap scenes going on. This is something that I found really interesting that I hadn't really ever thought of before, and then when I read about this, I realized I did it a lot. And I've spotted it in some other people's books, and it really bugs me now because it does detract from the story. And so I wanted to actually read you a little excerpt from the Write Your Novel in a Month to explain to you what this is, just because I feel like it says it so perfectly in the book. So this is a little excerpt. Jeff Girk writes, another example. For many chapters of a novel, we've been looking forward to some event, a championship football game, let's say. It's the key moment in a character's life when all of his dreams will either be fulfilled or dashed. We stay by his side through practices and qualifying games and team morale variations and scary injuries. We pull for him in his studies and his girlfriend and his leadership on the team. Finally, the day arrives. He suits up and steps onto the field. And the scene ends. The next chapter is him on the phone with a friend. Yeah, it was great. Winning the championship was awesome. What? No, I threw 4 touchdowns, not 3. Huh? Oh yeah, she kissed me after the game. Yeah, I did talk to college scouts. It's looking good for UCLA. So that's the kind of thing you really want to avoid in your book, where there's supposed to be this scene that has happenings in it and it's just, you don't get to see it, but you hear the character recap about what happened later. That's seriously depriving your reader of some interesting stuff and your character of character development, really. So don't do that in your books, and that's something I'm gonna have to change because I did that as an easy cop-out because I didn't feel creative to write the scene at the moment. And the last thing you want to look for in this step is that your book is focusing on story over language. So there's some people out there that like to read just for the sake of reading big fancy words, but that is not the majority of consumers out there. Most people that are reading books want to be engaged in the story, want to be taken away by your plot, want to fall in love with your characters, and you don't always do this with fancy language or, you know, incredible prose. You do this by creating a very well-crafted story. So if your language is taking away from the story part of your book, you just change the language so that it's more approachable and more engaging for your reader. Step 9, after you've done all this, is to send it off for a professional edit. And by this time, you've done so much to your book. You've applied other people's feedback. You've nitpicked through all the grammar, and it should be pretty okay to send off. And then the final step, step 10, is to apply your editor's feedback, because they know more than you about editing books and what a book should be like, even though we're writers. But, you know, getting that outside professional opinion, I should say, will really just take your book to the next level and make it that much more enjoyable for your readers. So that's all I have today. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and click the like button. And if you would like to receive weekly updates on how to start, write, and publish your novel, go ahead and subscribe. I'll be posting videos every Tuesday now, hopefully. I still gotta get this whole schedule thing figured out. If you have any questions, you can leave them down in the comments below or contact me on any one of my social media links listed in the description. Thank you so much for watching this video, and until next time, bye!